Yeah, man, just another night, just another day.
Hello and welcome to I Love the Patriarchy with me, Kamamwega. I don't know how many of you have grown sick and tired of women trying to shame men for being men as I have. I have had it with these. You will see them shouting how they wish to smash the patriarchy and how patriarchy has been holding women back. Before we get into it, I would like to make a statement. If this is not you, keep it walking. If you feel a certain kind of way about this video, yep, you are exactly who I am talking about. It is about time the were put in their place and told to keep their STI-infected, loose coochie selves quiet. I know I may be asking for too much, expecting a person who can't keep her legs shut to keep her mouth shut, but whatever. Most of these bimbos do not even know what patriarchy is, so let me educate you. Patriarchy. The definition is gotten from dictionary.cambridge.org. Patriarchy is a society in which the oldest male is the leader of the family, or a society controlled by men in which they use their power to their own advantage. Now, if you listen to the empty-brained feminist whose goal is to get the power that society has bestowed the patriarch, you will have this horror story of how patriarchy is evil and how it is a danger to the society. They will tell you these fictional stories about how the society was originally matriarchal and how it was flourishing. However, they will never, ever, even once, answer this simple question. How did all notable societies all over the world end up patriarchal? Let us look at the three races on Earth: the Negroid, the Mongoloid, and the Caucasoid. They all evolved in different parts of the world, and all of them adopted the patriarchal system. That cannot be a coincidence. That is what rose to the top and beat all other systems, matriarchy included, if ever there was a matriarchal system to begin with. Here is why I think all the smash the patriarchy retards should shut up and go put on a tampon. Number 1. The regulation of sex. Sexual intercourse is an important commodity in animals that reproduce sexually. To ensure that children were born in a stable family structure, patriarchy put in place mechanisms to control access to sex. Men, just like any males in the animal kingdom that reproduce sexually, seek sexual relations with females. All sexual interactions between human beings have the probability of resulting in pregnancy, especially in a world where the contraceptive had not yet been put in place. In a world full of dangers from natural disasters, diseases, and attacks by human beings, a pregnant woman was and is vulnerable. When she is far gone in pregnancy, her ability to compete in looking for food was severely limited. Remember, this is a world where people were either hunting or gathering food. Therefore, patriarchy put in place the institution of marriage. Man therefore had to marry a woman and take her under his protection and provision to get access to her body sexually. The woman had someone to provide for her and protect her during her vulnerable phase of pregnancy, childbirth, and child infancy. Since the sexual appetites of men has always been high, and after childbirth, a woman is not in a position to satisfy them, arrangements such as polyandry came to play. Access to sex is not the only factor that contributed to polyandry, of course. Polyandry was also a system to distribute wealth in communities. Wealthy men were encouraged to have multiple wives because that was set as a status symbol, and men have always been suckers for higher status. With the bride price requirement in order to get a bride, ensured that only wealthy men can afford to pay the price to get multiple wives. That meant that wealth would be transferred from one man to multiple homesteads where the man was getting the wives from, therefore ensuring that there was a level of wealth distribution. Now, for those men who were unable to marry many wives, there were prostitutes to take care of that sexual appetite. Prostitution was extremely frowned upon at this time, and a woman who was a prostitute was considered a danger to the moral code of the society. It is difficult at this time to determine how prostitution was arranged in pre-colonial Africa, but seeing how the trade sprang up during colonization, it is safe to assume that it existed prior in one form or the other. However, since the women let their clitoris lead them, as a result of a movement the labeled women's rights and sexual liberation, we have had serious issues. A woman selling her vagina is not something new. Patriarchy, being the benevolent system that it is, allowed those women who sold sex to set up shop at a pre-selected location. Those women had to be easily identifiable by their dress code and by their titles. Harlot, hoe, and prostitute were some of their preferred titles. Mistress was also understood to be a high-class prostitute. Those women who plied this trade were very secure in their tradecraft and were not offended by such titles. The men who went in search of their services also were not ashamed to say that they were going to a brothel to buy sex from a prostitute. Patriarchy ensured that the numbers of hoes was restricted so as not to have to suffer from hoflation. The hoe knew that she was a hoe, and everybody else in town also knew she was a hoe. There was no, just because I dress like a hoe, it doesn't mean I am a hoe nonsense that feminism brought. A seller of flesh dressed in such a way to expose the wares that were for sale, and anyone who could meet the price got to imbibe on those wares. The movement that claims to fight the patriarchy, that is feminism, and the women's liberation movement brainwashed the easily influenced women that being a hoe was better than being a wife. The original hoes under patriarchy did it for righteous reasons. The old school hoes did it to access resources in order to provide for themselves and to provide for those they were charged to provide for. It was about survival, but the new hoes just do it for the love of the dick. I mean, these hoes under feminism are just getting their backs blown and providing incubation for sexually transmitted infections. Under patriarchy, women were provided for by their fathers, then by their husbands. Children were raised in a household with a father and a mother, or a father and multiple mothers. Children grew up secure in their identity and became productive members of the community and society. Since feminism, which claims to be about egalitarianism, but is actually an I, woman, I want power ideology, came into the picture, and the patriarchs looked at them the way a father looked at the prodigal son and said, "You want power? Here you go." The society has been going to shit. Under this new age feminist world order, women are dishing out their coochie like a 50-bob bribe during voting season in Nairobi. They are stacking body counts yet continue to be broke as fuck. Their daughters are inducted into the prostitution game and their sons are inducted into criminal gangs in their preteens, especially if the hoe is distributing coochie in the slums. Worst of all, every hoe thinks that she is a wife material, something the hoes under patriarchy never even thought about. Under patriarchy, once you went hoe, you never went back. But today, every hoe thinks that she is the epitome of housewifery. Is that even an English term? Whatever.
Hoe phases teach empathy. You need your hoe phase to truly learn the depths of empathy. I believe that one's hoe phase sets you up for a life of being empathetic. Let me explain. When I say hoeing, I mean simply doing things for the plot. And that's what that hoe phase is all about, is like, is this person the person you're going to be with forever? Maybe not, maybe. But, just have fun, flirt, have a good time. Being a hoe is not about necessarily being promiscuous. It's just about not necessarily considering all the consequences of every action because you're young and you have the safety to make dubious decisions. Now, because of COVID, that was about 5 years now at this point. Because of that time, a lot of the people who are 20 to 25, 28 missed out on that critical hoe phase. And I'm talking about not high school, I'm talking about college, and specifically the 5 years after college. That is when you are supposed to be traveling the world with no money in your pocket and just existing off of vibes. Because they're missing that, they then didn't learn the lessons that our parents were trying to teach us in our youths. You understand? I learned empathy from my parents during my hoe phase because I realized that all the lessons they were trying to teach me, I understood where they applied in my real life. And I was like, oh, now I understand my parents' point of view a whole lot better because I've been in the world, I've hoed about, I've just done things, and I see now why they said what they said. The kids aren't having that realization moment. They're not learning the lessons that are meant to be learned during the hoe phase, during that 18 to 28-year-old time period, because they're already collecting the attitude of a person who has done it all without having done it. And that leaves a big gap for empathy. Because when you empathy is really the process of understanding another person's actions because you yourself can put yourself in their shoes. But if you've never lived a life, if you've never gone and been a hoe, if you've never traveled, seen things, done things, then there's no way for you to really put yourself in the shoes because you don't even know what shoes they got. You didn't even know they had shoes. You didn't even know it existed. So if I had any advice to the young people, like I told my 28-year-old friend last night, I'm 35, and I was like, girl, why are you going home? It's Wednesday in the city, in the summertime. You should be out on the town making out with a stranger. Like, that's what it's all about. So that when you are a 35-year-old woman and you're seeing these kids online talking about, oh, millennials, and all I feel is empathy for them because I'm like, oh, you poor sweet child, you're missing on your youth and you're still going to get older. Like you're borrowing the attitude of being older and you're young right now, which means you're still going to get older and you would have already have had the attitude while you're young. So then you never get to be young. Ew. I enjoy being young. It's fun. Being an adult is not like what is the big allure about being an adult? Quickly. So yeah, I'm saying that all of my Z people, my Gen Z peeps, I need y'all to go outside and be some hoes. Get off the phone and go be a hoe. Get off the phone. Go outside and go be a hoe. Go. Get out of here wearing your orthopedic shoes talking about, I gotta wear a sweater. Shut up. Go get mono. Like, and that's why the Gen Z really, really, really struggle with empathy. Because they haven't lived. Go live, and I promise you, you'll see the world. That's why all these white people suck down south, because they have no experience outside of their own. It's almost like exposure is the way to, like, you know what? Let me shut the hell up. I'm just saying, but like, go be a hoe. Thanks.
They think that after years of dishing out the coochie to everyone and anyone with an erection, they can now settle down with a high-status provider male. After contracting all concussions of sexually transmitted infections, deleting enough unborn to rival total deaths in actual war zones, and putting all their deeds out there for the world to see via social media, these whores, without a morsel of shame, go to the same media where they told us about their holery and genocidal tendencies to cry about how they cannot get a high-status male to marry them.
So where are the men? Where do y'all hang out? If you don't go to coffee shops? I'm so tired of like going to a bar or like go to different events and they're like 90% of the ladies and only 3 men hang out in the corner. Do you guys just not leave the house or like go outside? Yeah, I would love to stop using all the dating apps that are just not working anymore and start meeting people in real life organically. But where do men usually hang out? I feel like I've been looking at the wrong places. So let me know in comments.
I swear, we are living in a badly scripted movie. Whoever wrote this version of The Matrix needs to get fired. Tell me how the world is better under this feminist/egalitarian bullshit.
Everything's just fake and gay.
That's all for today. See you in the next one.